Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I hope am I audible? Kishan, am I audible? Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this webinar on Decoding Union Budget 2024-25 and a way forward. What we have done, we have already released a detailed report on what are the key aspects which were covered during the union budget, what were the key changes, and in terms of direct taxes, sector-specific changes pertaining to custom duty, and what are our top 10 recommendations post this budget and investment rationale. So the entire report is available on SBI Securities website. What I will do for everyone's benefit, I will once again post the bit.ly link to access that webinar in the comment section. So just a minute, give me a second to post that link. So I will request Kishan to please post the budget report link in chat so that everyone can access that report and it will come handy while we are going through this presentation. So what we have done, we have kept this presentation very concise. So we have not covered each and every line item which we have covered in our budget report. So the agenda is to give you the key highlights of the budget and then what is the way forward in terms of strategy, how one should be placed in terms of trading or investment strategy. Yeah. So moving on to the first slide. So what were the key highlights of the budget? So basically अगर आप बजट देखेंगे तो बजट का जो सबसे मेन फोकस रहा था वो फिस्कल प्रूडेंस पे रहा था. अगर आप फिस्कल डेफिसिट का नंबर देखेंगे जो एक्सपेक्टेड था कि इंटरिम बजट में 5% के आसपास, वही नंबर कहीं ना कहीं गवर्नमेंट ने रिटेन किया है. इनफैक्ट उससे बेहतर नंबर इस बार पेश किया है. 0.1% का जो नंबर है वो बेहतर है कंपेयर टू द इंटरिम बजट. एंड एक व्हाट इज फिस्कल डेफिसिट? तो बेसिकली फिस्कल डेफिसिट का मतलब ये होता है कि जो खर्चा है गवर्नमेंट का वो जब आमदनी से ज्यादा होती है, रेवेन्यू से ज्यादा होती है, तो उसका जो डिफरेंस होता है उसे कहते हैं फिस्कल डेफिसिट. और ये कोई भी ग्रोइंग इकोनॉमी जो होती है, एनी इकोनॉमी विच इज इन हाई ग्रोथ फेज, वह यूजुअली जो फिस्कल डेफिसिट है वो मेंटेन करके चलती है. क्योंकि इन इकोनॉमी को जब बूस्ट देना होता है तो गवर्नमेंट जो अपना खर्चा है आमदनी से ज्यादा रखती है और ये जो जितना भी डिफरेंस है वो अलग अलग सोर्सेज से फंड करती है. तो वन ऑफ द सोर्स इज जैसे गवर्नमेंट अपना कुछ एसेट है वो डाइवेस्ट करेगी, गवर्नमेंट कुछ अमाउंट बोरो करती है, तो इस तरह से जो डिफरेंस है ये कहीं ना कहीं ब्रिज किया जाता है. और ये जो फिस्कल डेफिसिट का जो आंकड़ा है ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट नंबर होता है इकोनॉमी के परस्पेक्टिव से. और स्पेशली जो हर कंट्री की क्रेडिट रेटिंग होती है उसमें ये नंबर की एक काफी अहम भूमिका होती है. और इसी के चलते जितनी भी रेटिंग एजेंसीज है ये नंबर को बहुत बारीकी से ट्रैक करती हैं. इसके अलावा अगर हम देखेंगे बजट का एक सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट फोकस रहा था एम्प्लॉयमेंट पर लेकर, स्पेशली जो पहली बार जॉब सेक्टर में एंटर कर रहे हैं इनके लिए गवर्नमेंट ने काफी सारे इनिशिएटिव अनाउंस किए कि जो पहली बार जॉब में जाएगा उनके बिहाफ पे गवर्नमेंट जो कॉर्पोरेट्स हैं उन्हें कहीं ना कहीं एक इंसेंटिव देगी, 1 महीने की सैलरी देगी. एंड इट इज अ काइंड ऑफ जैसे पीएलआई है, प्रोडक्शन लिंक इंसेंटिव स्कीम है मैन्युफैक्चरर को एनकरेज करने के लिए. ये बेसिकली एम्प्लॉयमेंट लिंक इंसेंटिव स्कीम है. तो जो कंपनी एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेट करेगी उन्हें गवर्नमेंट की ओर से कुछ इंसेंटिव दिए जाएंगे. तो ये काफी इंपॉर्टेंट मुद्दा रहा था इस बार के बजट में. एंड तीसरा इंपॉर्टेंट मुद्दा था रूरल डेवलपमेंट को लेकर. रूरल फोकस बजट रहा है. कहीं ना कहीं जो नीचे के वर्ग के लोग हैं जो रूरल एरियाज में रहते हैं, एग्री फोकस जो लोग हैं उनके लिए काफी सारे प्रावधान किए गए हैं ये बजट में. इसके अलावा एक बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट इनिशिएटिव ये जो गवर्नमेंट है इनके पहले साल में इन्होंने जो लिया है वो है सिंप्लीफाइंग टैक्स स्ट्रक्चर. तो अगर आप देखेंगे कि जो कैपिटल गेन टैक्स है वो काफी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड था. मल्टीपल एसेट्स में अलग अलग ड्यूरेशन थे, अलग अलग टैक्स रेट थे, इंडेक्सेशन, नॉन इंडेक्सेशन, ये सब काफी सारा कॉम्प्लेक्स कंप्यूटेशन था. तो ये पहला जो कदम है गवर्नमेंट ने लिया है टू सिंप्लीफाई द टैक्स स्ट्रक्चर. एंड लास्ट बट फॉरमोस्ट द मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग वाज कि गवर्नमेंट ने ये जो बजट है केपेक्स ड्रिवन ग्रोथ मॉडल अडॉप्ट किया है। अगर आप देखेंगे गवर्नमेंट ने तकरीबन 11 लाख करोड़ का प्रावधान किया है केपेक्स को लेकर के, और ये जो अमाउंट है अलग अलग क्षेत्रों पर स्पेंड किया जाएगा, जिसके चलते गवर्नमेंट जो है इकोनॉमी को एक बूस्ट देते हुए नजर आएगी। इसके बारे में हम अगले स्लाइड में देखेंगे कि ये जो नंबर है कैसे चेंज हुआ है पिछले कुछ सालों में। अगर मैं बजट की बात करता हूं तो डेफिनेटली कुछ निगेटिव सरप्राइजेस भी थे। जिस तरह से हमने देखा कि शॉर्ट टर्म और लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन टैक्स जो है इक्विटी मार्केट के लिहाज से इनमें हाइक किया गया। लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन टैक्स 10 से बढ़ा करके 12.5% किया गया, और जो शॉर्ट टर्म है वो 15 से 20 किया गया। हालांकि इसमें एक नोटिसेबल चीज अगर आप देखोगे, जो पहले जो गैप था लॉन्ग टर्म और शॉर्ट टर्म का, अर्लियर इट वॉज 5%, तो 10% वॉज लॉन्ग टर्म एंड शॉर्ट टर्म वॉज 15%, so difference was close to 5%, and now the difference has increased to 7.5%. So right now long term is 12.5% and short term is 20%. So this clearly shows that government want to encourage a long term investment as a culture, especially youth of this country, and short term is kind of discouraged by taxing heavily on the short term trading gains. So this clearly shows the intent of the government, and I believe this intent will continue over the period of next 5 years. At the same time, to discourage trading in future and options, which is a kind of speculative product as per the government analysis, we have seen increase in STT both on futures and options. On both the segment, we have seen nearly STT going up by more than 60 to 70%. And at the same time, there are a lot of UN cry on removal of indexation benefit for real estate on a long-term capital gain tax. So earlier, real estate long-term capital gain tax could take advantage of indexation, and however the rate was 20%, and now in the new regime, we have seen that the long-term capital gain tax on real estate has been reduced to 12.5% without any indexation benefit. Although it may be slightly negative for a few investors who have invested in real estate earlier. But if you take a forward-looking approach, I believe this is a very good step for encouraging long-term investment in real estate market, because now long-term capital gain tax on real estate has become equivalent to equities, and any new investor who want to invest in real estate market, the path is very smooth going forward, right? Now, the foremost important point is highest ever capital outlay for railways, which is close to 2.5 trillion rupees. So railway continue to remain as one of the key focus area for government. And we have seen one of the highest ever capital outlay to be spent on railway, that is to the tune of 2.5 lakh crore rupees. And in addition to that, we have seen an healthy increase in outlay for housing, national health, education, and at the same time, roads, water, and Narega scheme we have seen allocation has been kept intact. Overall, there is some minor relief which has been provided on personal income tax front. To the people who where the income is nearly 15 lakh rupees, and this clearly shows that the intent of the government is to encourage people to shift to the new tax regime, and that has been made more lucrative. And as we go ahead, the next budget is hardly 6 to 7 months ahead of us. So on 1st of Feb, we will again see a new budget for next fiscal year, and I feel that again in the next budget we will see new tax regime being made more lucrative. Already, Honorable Finance Minister have said that two-thirds of the income tax filer has already shifted to new tax regime, and I believe that going forward this will be reality, that the option of old tax regime will be made almost unavailable, maybe 2 to 3 years down the line. So moving on to the next slide. What we were discussing earlier, that one of the key highlight of the budget is 11.1 lakh crore spent by government on capex. So this chart shows the trend of capex during the last 4 to 5 years by the government. If you see in FY20, the amount which was provided in the budget was 3.4 lakh crore rupees. and that has increased by almost three times during the last 5 years to 11 lakh crore rupees. And if we assume that going forward, the India's the nominal GDP will grow at the rate of 10 to 12%, and if we assume that in the same range, at the same rate, the capex spend will increase, then don't be surprised that this capex spend will again become double in the next 5 years, and that will be close to 19 to 20 lakh crore rupees in fiscal year 30, and that's a huge number. 19 lakh crore is a huge number. So I believe government is taking initiative. फ्रंट फुट पे बैटिंग कर रही है गवर्नमेंट. जब कोविड के बाद कहीं ना कहीं इकोनॉमी को एक स्ट्रगल कर रही थी इकोनॉमी, गवर्नमेंट ने फ्रंट फुट पर बैटिंग करके कैपेक्स का एक जिम्मेदारी है उसे ली है आगे जा करके. और अब ये गवर्नमेंट का ये मानना है कि यहाँ से आगे जा करके जो कैपेक्स का जो ट्रेंड है, ये प्राइवेट सेक्टर भी इसमें कंट्रीब्यूट करेगी, or henceforth the baton will be passed on to the private sector for this capex, as far as this capex is concerned. Moving on to the next slide. So this slide shows the various sectors and what is an allocation that has been done for them by the government in this budget. So if you see, we have sorted this sector based on the allocation which has been allocated in this union budget. So if you see NHAI and road work, they both these sectors have got a maximum amount. So close to 3 lakh crore together for NHAI and road work. So road will continue to be one of the big sector as far as government focus is concerned. The next is the Narega scheme, which is again employment generation scheme for lower strata of the society. So that amount has been kept similar to last year, that is FY24. If you see Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, which is a rural as well as urban scheme, wherein government provide subsidized houses to the urban and rural poor. So there we have seen a significant jump in allocation, close to 56%, and the amount which has been provided is close to 85,000 crore in this budget. And there was a very good statement from Honorable Finance Minister that central government will support, will spend close to 10 lakh crore over the next 5 years on the various housing scheme. And out of that, close to 4 lakh crore will be provided by the center as a support. So I believe housing is one of the key focus area as far as government is concerned. And one has to keep in mind that housing has got a huge multiplier effect. So whenever a house is constructed, we see there is an increased demand for land, there is an increase in demand for cement, steel products, real estate ancillary products. So in case housing sector is in good health, definitely there are many sectors which benefit out of that. So Jal Jeevan Mission, again, this is one of the key focus area for the government since many years. And the allocation is close to 70,000 crore. Then next is PM Kisan scheme, in which all the farmers are getting close to 6,000 rupees annually from Government of India. Railways, as we have discussed, the amount allocated in this year is one of the highest. So there are many sub-projects within the railways, the railway rolling stock, new line, doubling of line, and track renewal. One of the key new area which has turned to be focus area for the government within railways, improving the customer amenities. So that have received allotment of close to 15,000 crore, and that is up 61% year over year compared to FY24 number. So all this list is available in our budget report also, and you can refer to that. So overall, what I want to summarize is that the focus area of government continue to remain on roads, creating employment and in the lower set of society, housing, water, railways, and so on and so forth. So I think these are the few sectors from which many wealth creators will emerge over the period of next 3 to 5 years. Moving on to the next slide. So if I have to sum up broadly that what has been covered in the budget, ultimately what happens is that people doubt whether government will able to monetize, whether government will able to mobilize the amount required to be spent for this capex, and what are the key assumptions which have been taken by the government while making this budget, right? So what we have seen, the nominal GDP growth assumption of 10.5% year over year at 326 trillion rupees, that seems to be a very achievable number. And that is backed by record high capex by government to the tune of 11.1 trillion rupees, and coupled with likely private consumption, improvement in private consumption. And we have to keep in mind that this GDP number is almost in line with other respected bodies like RBI, IMF, and World Bank. So I think one of the key number, which is the nominal GDP growth number, is the achievable number, 10.5% year over year growth. And based on that, again, the tax collection is a function of GDP growth, right? So if GDP numbers are realistic, I believe that the assumption taken for the tax collection, that is also a very realistic number. And hence I believe that if tax collection number are realistic and achievable number, then fiscal deficit target of 4.9% for FY25 and 4.5% for FY26, even that number seems to be achievable number. We have to keep in mind that government has got an additional bonus of close to 1 lakh crore rupees from RBI in the form of incremental dividend, and that amount was utilized to reduce the fiscal deficit and at the same time create a job opportunity by giving a various incentives, right? And at the same time, the earlier target of sticking to the fiscal glide path, as we have seen that fiscal deficit as a percentage of GDP is gradually coming down, and that augurs well for overall Indian economy. And if we are fortunate enough, the global rating agencies may upgrade the rating of India's government paper, and that can be a very big positive as far as cost of fund in the economy is concerned. In addition to that, I think the borrowing target by the government of India, that is also in line with expectation. In fact, that has reduced marginally below the number which was stated in the interim budget, and that also augurs well for private sector, so that they can go out and borrow money at a cheaper rate, and that will give a lot of boost to the capex from the private sector. So overall, I think it was a very good budget in terms of giving push to the economy. Now let us see which are the key direct taxes change and the key custom duty changes which were implemented in the budget. And I will request my colleague Harsh to please take over from here. Yeah, over to you, Harsh.
Kishan, am I audible? Yeah, thank you, Sani sir. So over here now we'll be discussing regarding direct taxes and indirect taxes. So first we'll move on to the benefits in the personal income tax rate under the new regime. So as you can see, so we have made a comparison between the old and new tax structure under the new regime. So wahan pe earlier old mein, so you had a tax slab of 3 lakhs, 3 to 6 lakhs, 6 lakhs to 9 lakhs, 9 lakhs to 12 lakhs, and 12 lakhs to 15 lakhs, and above 15 lakhs, which was in the old. And you in the new one, you have up to 3 lakhs, which is being the same. But the next three slabs of the total income has been increased. Where you can see it is the first has increased from 3 lakh to 7 lakh. The next is from 7 lakh to 10 lakh, and the third is 10 lakh to 12 lakh. And then you have the same from 12 lakh to 15 lakh and above 15 lakh, where you have the tax rate being the same, but the total income slab has been increased. So we'll see an example on this in the next slide. See over here, as we can see, the slab in the second one, where you have from 3 to 7 lakhs, which is under the new structure. So over there you are paying on the difference of 4 lakhs, which is 7 lakhs minus 3 lakhs, where you have 4 lakhs on that 5%, where you have tax of 20,000. And in the old, you have a difference of 3 lakhs, which is 6 lakhs minus 3 lakhs into 5%. So you have 15,000 paying as tax. So in the new regime, you will be paying 5,000 extra over here. But then when you move to 10 lakhs to 12 lakhs, over there, on the 2 lakhs in the new regime, you have been paying 30,000. So 2 lakhs into 15%, where you have been paying only 30,000. And under the old regime, you have the tax as amount as 45,000, which is 12 lakhs minus 9 lakhs. So that is 3 lakhs. into 15%. So there you have 45,000. So a year you have been paying an incremental tax of 15,000. So net effect, you have a tax saving of 10,000 if you follow the new regime under the new tax rate which is being announced in the budget. And then you have the standard deduction which is being increased from 50,000 to 75,000. So the incremental 25,000, you get a 30% standard 30% tax benefit on the 25,000, which is 7,500. So net you have a tax saving of 17,500 under the new tax regime which was proposed under the Union Budget 24-25. Then you have the deduction for the family pension, which has increased from 15,000 to 25,000. And then you have the non-government employer contribution to the new pension scheme, where the non-government employer can deduct an amount not exceeding to 14% of the employee's salary, which was earlier 10%. So this is one extra addition which is being made. Then moving on to the next slide. So here we'll be talking on the rationalization of the capital gain tax. So earlier, as you can see, the listed equity shares or the units of equity-oriented mutual fund. Over here, we'll be comparing, we'll be seeing STCG, the holding period change, and the LTCG change. So earlier in STCG, you were being taxed at the rate of 15%, which has been revised to 20%. However, the holding period remains the same. And in LTCG, it has been increased from 10% to 12.5%. Moving on to REIT or InvIT, where you have STCG being the same, but for long-term capital gain, earlier the holding period was 36 months, but now that has been changed to 12 months. However, the tax rate has been increased from 10 to 12.5%. So this is a good benefit for the REITs and InvITs, as the holding period has been reduced from 36 months to 12 months. Then you have unlisted shares, where you will be taxed at slab rate under the short-term capital gains. And over there is no change in the holding period. But as you can see, the long-term capital gains, earlier it was being taxed with 20% indexation, which has been revised to 12.5%. Then moving on to the debt side, where first we'll be covering the listed securities or zero coupon bonds, including the listed debentures and bond. So that was earlier taxed at the slab rate in STCG, which is being the same. Over here, the holding period also remains the same. But as you can see in LTCG, it was either of the 10%, lower of 10% without indexation, or 20% with indexation, which has changed to 12.5%. Then you have unlisted debentures and bond, where the slab rate is same in STCG, but the holding period has changed from 36 months to 24 months, where LTCG was 20% with indexation taxed. However, now it will be taxed at slab rates. Similarly, in market-linked debentures, you have STCG being taxed at slab rate. However, the holding period has changed over here from 36 months to 24 months, and LTCG earlier was taxed at slab rate, which will continue to do so. Then moving on to the real estate, where the STCG was tagged as the slab rate, which was similar. However, over here the holding period hasn't changed, but the main thing which you see in LTCG, where Sunny sir had earlier discussed, where 20% indexation, where 20% tax was charged with indexation, and that is now revised to 12.5%. Then moving on to gold ETF and sovereign gold bonds. Over here, you have the STCG being taxed at the slab rate. However, the holding period has changed from 36 months to 12 months, and the LTCG will be taxed at 12.5% instead of the slab rate. And then you have physical gold, which is being taxed at slab rate, where the holding period has also been changed to 24 months from 36 months, and LTCG was taxed at 20% with indexation, and now it has been revised to 12.5%. So talking about the key pointers of the rationalization of the capital gain tax, so in this budget, it has announced that there will be only two holding periods, which is 12 months and 24 months. So there will be only two holding periods, 12 months and 24 months, to determine whether the capital gain which is arising from the asset is short-term or long-term. Earlier, there was 12 months, 24 months, and 36 months. Now it has changed to 12 months and 24 months. And then the other key point is, with the rationalization of the rate to 12.5%, where indexation was available for a property, gold, and other unlisted asset, now it is removed for calculation of any long-term gains. So now you won't avail the benefit of indexation, and pure 12.5% rate will be charged. And third one, you have that the for LTCG, the government has increased the limit of the exemption of capital gains on listed equity and equity oriented mutual funds to 1.25 lakhs per annum from 1 lakh. So that is the third key pointer which needs to be taken into consideration. And on the STT has also been increased in FNO. So that was the four. So these were the four main key pointers which needs to be looked in the rationalization of the capital gains tax structure. Now moving on to the next slide, where we have changes in custom duty. So first one, we have critical minerals. So over here, this will be beneficial for all the mining companies and the battery manufacturer companies. So over here, the custom duty rate was charged at 2.5% to 10%. However, that has been reduced to nil. So that will be beneficial for mining companies such as NMDC, GMDC. Then you have Coal India, many others, and it will also be beneficial for the battery manufacturers such as you have Exide Industries, Amaraja, and so on. And it will also be beneficial for the manufacturing companies as well. Then you have second the steel sector, where you have ferronickel. So over here the government has currently it was charged at 2.5%, where the government has reduced the rate to nil. So this is the ferronickel. It is a very key input raw material for the companies who are into stainless steel. So Jhinjal Stainless will be a key beneficiary for this thing, as ferronickel is one of the major key raw material for that. Then moving on to the precious metal, where you have gold bar and silver bar, where the custom duty rate has been decreased from 15% to 6%. So this will augur well for the jewelry manufacturing companies such as Senco Gold, Titan, Kalyan Jewelers. Then you have then the government has reduced the custom duty rate on the 3 cancer drugs from 10% to nil. Then you have moving on to the renewable energy sector, where the solar glass for manufacture of solar cells or solar modules. So that has been increased, where the government has increased the custom duty from nil to 10%. So this will augur well for Borosil renewables. So that should be looked into. So this will be a key beneficiary for Borosil renewables. Then you have aqua farming and marine export, under which for the prawn and shrimp feed and the fish feed, this has been reduced. The custom duty rate has been reduced from 15% to 5%, and this will augur well for the companies such as Avanti Feeds. Then you have water-based, etc. And talking about the last important change, where you have chemicals in plastic, under which you have ammonium nitrate. So here the government has reduced the custom duty rate from 7.5% to nil, and this will augur well for Deepak fertilizers. Yeah. So that was all on the direct taxes and indirect taxes. So now we'll be proceeding to the sectoral, like what to focus on the sectoral changes. So now I'll hand over the call to Monica. Yeah.
Thanks, Harsh. Thanks, Harsh. Now let's take a look into what has been the sectoral budget proposals which were announced by the government and their impact, as well as which sectors and which companies will be the key beneficiaries of these proposals. So first one, let's talk about the housing sector. So basically इसमें जो दो मेजर अनाउंसमेंट्स गवर्नमेंट ने किए हैं ये फुल बजट में, वो उसमें से पहला है एन इन्वेस्टमेंट ऑफ अबाउट 10 lakh crores which will be done by the government under the PM Awas Yojana Urban 2.0 and this will be done over the period of 5 years. And this is basically to help the around 1 crore urban poor and middle class families. So a boost to this scheme will basically lead to increase in the housing demand. इसके अलावा गवर्नमेंट ने ये टाइम के बजट में स्टेट्स को encourage करने के लिए भी बोला है to lower the stamp duties for properties purchased by women. So this will also likely boost housing demand. And also for this financial year of FY25, the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana budget has been increased by 56%, over FY24 revised estimates, which now stands at around 84,671 crores. So this is also a positive move for the overall housing sector. Apart from this, the government will also take up 3 crore more houses under the PM Awas Yojana in both rural as well as urban areas. And one of the most important reform for the housing sector will be the capital gains tax on immovable property. So जैसे हमने पहले भी डिस्कस किया, long term capital gains on immovable property has been reduced to 12.5% from 20% earlier, but this comes with no indexation benefit. So while this will be slightly negative, or will not be that beneficial for those investors or people who are holding their house property since a very very long time, because generally for them, if you will see arithmetically also, the indexation benefit comes to be more useful. So but this particular change in long-term capital gains will still benefit new real estate investors. So there are a lot of HNI people who buy house properties for their investment purposes. So जो भी अब से investment होगा, जो basically as an investment purchase हो रहा है of हाउस प्रॉपर्टी, सो उसमें टैक्स बेनिफिट मे बी न्यू रियल एस्टेट इन्वेस्टर्स को देखने मिल सकता है. सो फ्रॉम दैट पर्सपेक्टिव वी कैन सी सम काइंड ऑफ शिफ्ट फ्रॉम दी one asset class, which is mostly equity asset class, to the real estate as an asset class, and that will also indirectly lead to the boost in the housing demand. एंड ये बूस्ट के साथ हाउसिंग डिमांड का जब ग्रोथ होगा, तो उसके साथ साथ जो एंसिलरी कंपनीज हैं रियल एस्टेट में, वो भी बेनिफिट करेंगी, सच एज प्लाईवुड कंपनीज, ceramics companies, cement companies. So these companies will also benefit from all these budget proposals. So now discussing the key beneficiaries from the sector perspective as well as from the company perspective. So first one is real estate, of course. So इनमें names आ जाते हैं like Man Infra, Capacity Infra, Obora Reality, Macrotech Developers. Then few companies which makes the affordable housing also will benefit. So these companies include names like Signature Global, Arihan Superstructures, Ganesh Housing, etc. सीमेंट स्पेस में भी कंपनीज बेनिफिट करेंगी, बिकॉज पूरे सीमेंट सेक्टर में जो मेजॉरिटी डिमांड है वो हाउसिंग सेक्टर से आता है, विच इज अबाउट 50 to 60% डिमांड फॉर द सीमेंट कम्स फ्रॉम द हाउसिंग स्पेस. सो ऑब्वियसली बिकॉज ऑफ दीज पॉजिटिव प्रपोजल्स इन द हाउसिंग सेक्टर, सीमेंट कंपनीज विल ऑल्सो बेनिफिट. So companies like Ultratech, JK Cement, Dalmia Bharat, Sagar Cement, JK Lakshmi Cement, all these cement companies will benefit from this. सो रियल एस्टेट कंपनीज में जैसे HIL है, कजारिया सिरामिक्स है, सेंचुरी प्लाईबोर्ड, विसाका इंडस्ट्रीज, सयाद्री इंडस्ट्रीज, and Everest Industries. So last three companies are basically into the cement rooftops, etc. So these companies will also benefit. And PVC pipes में Prince Pipes है, Finolex Pipes and Astral Limited, ये कंपनियां भी बेटर परफॉर्म कर सकती है, या इनके सेल्स को भी एक अच्छा बूस्ट मिल सकता है बिकॉज ऑफ द बूस्ट इन द ओवरऑल हाउसिंग सेक्टर. नेक्स्ट लेट्स डिस्कस अबाउट द कंजम्पशन स्पेस. सो ये टाइम के बजट में गवर्नमेंट ने काफ़ी फोकस टूरिज्म के ऊपर भी दिया है, स्पेशली ऑन द रिलीजियस टूरिज्म. So the government has announced some assistance to Odisha state's scenic beauty, including their temples, monuments, wildlife sanctuaries, and beaches. So this is in order to make Odisha as an ultimate tourism destination. इसके साथ ही नालंदा यूनिवर्सिटी को भी एक टूरिस्ट सेंटर के तौर पे डेवलप करने का प्रपोजल गवर्नमेंट ने रखा है. And comprehensive development initiative for Rajgir has also been announced by the government, which basically holds religious significance for Hindus, Buddhists, and Jains as well. So all these proposals in the tourism space will lead will give a good boost to the overall tourism. एंड इसमें कंपनीज और सेक्टर्स जो बेनिफिट करेंगे वो है लार्जली होटल कंपनीज एंड एविएशन कंपनीज. So hotel companies like Indian Hotels, Lemon Tree, Mahindra Holidays, Chalet Hotels, EIH Limited, और बाकी टूरिज्म कंपनीज जो बेसिकली ऑनलाइन टिकट बुकिंग में है, जैसे इजी ट्रिप प्लानर्स, लेट रेवेन्यूज टेक्नोलॉजी, यात्रा ऑनलाइन, ये कंपनीज भी बेनिफिट करेगी. एंड एविएशन पर्सपेक्टिव में इंटरग्लोब एविएशन बेनिफिट कर सकता है. देन कंटिन्यूइंग विद द कंजम्पशन, ज्वेलरी स्पेस में जैसे हमने पहले भी डिस्कस किया, कस्टम्स ड्यूटी हैज बीन रिड्यूस्ड ऑन गोल्ड एंड सिल्वर to 6%, and in platform platinum to 6.4%. So this will be beneficial for the jewelry companies because they will be able to source all these precious metals at a relatively lower rate. So हमने already budget के दिन में भी gold prices में around 3 to 4% का एक drop देखने मिला था. So this proposal will basically benefit Titan, Kalyan Jewelers, Senco Gold, Thangamile Jewelers, RBZ Jewelers, and Moti Sins Jewelers. Also, there has been an allocation of rupees 2.66 lakh crores for the rural development. This is mostly same. This was also announced in the interim budget in the February month also. But overall, this is positive for the FMCG sector because over the last few quarters we have been seeing that the FMCG sector has been seeing some decline in the rural FMCG growth. So ये बजट से जो एक नैरेटिव है लैगिंग रूरल ग्रोथ का, जो अर्बन एफएमसीजी मार्केट को लैग कर रहा था, तो उसमें हमको एक काइंड ऑफ रिकवरी देखने मिल सकती है. सो दिस पर्टिकुलर बजट और द प्रपोजल विल बेनिफिट सम एफएमसीजी कंपनीज आल्सो लाइक डाबर, ब्रिटानिया, मैरिको, HUL. These companies can also benefit. Now, talking about the agriculture and allied sector, so a provision of rupees 1.52 trillion has been kept for agriculture and allied sector, and farmers will also receive around 109 new high-yielding and climate-resilient varieties of crops. So this will boost indirectly the farmers' disposable income. Also, there has been a 57% increase in the outlay for PM Matsya Sampada Yojana. During this full union budget of FY25, the government has placed particularly more emphasis on the shrimp feeding business. So it has reduced duty on key inputs for boosting domestic manufacturing of shrimp feed, as well as financing for the shrimp farming and its processing and export as well, which will be facilitated through NABARD. So all these proposals will boost farmers' disposable income, which will also help to increase the sale of fertilizers and agrochemicals, and will also see a likely growth in the demand for consumer discretionary items like auto, consumer durables. All these items can also see some boost in near term. So जब भी एग्रीकल्चर में पॉजिटिव रिफॉर्म्स आता है फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट साइड, सो नो ब्रेनर फर्टिलाइजर एंड केमिकल कंपनीज आर द मोस्ट टू बेनिफिट आउट ऑफ इट. सो फर्टिलाइजर्स में धानुका एग्रीटेक, PI इंडस्ट्रीज, Coromandel International, Sumitomo Chemical, UPL, Kaveri Seeds, all these companies are the beneficiaries of this proposal. Since the farmers' disposable income will increase, so the FMCG companies will also benefit out of it. So Nestle, HUL, Marico, Dabur, these are all the beneficiaries of increase in disposable income of farmers. Since we can see some growth in the consumer discretionary items also. So auto companies like Maruti, M&M, Hero Motocorp, TVS Motors, and Ashok Leyland are also beneficiary of these announcements. Consumer durable space में sales of ACs can see some growth. So Blue Star, Havells, CG Consumer Products are few companies. And mostly in the shrimp farming business, companies like Avanti Feeds, Apex Frozen Foods, and Waterbase will also benefit. And in case of few companies like Avanti Feeds, we have already seen that the stock has seen a good jump in their stock price. So these were the three sectors, and for the upcoming sectors, I will hand over to Rajesh sir.
Am I audible to all of you? Okay. Thanks, Monica, for your take on consumption. So दोस्तों, जैसे पहले बताया गया कि जो सरकार का फोकस है वो लगातार जो है जॉब क्रिएशन को लेकर के बना हुआ है. तो अगर इस बजट में आप देखेंगे तो सरकार का जो कैपेक्स को लेकर के वो है कि 11,11,000 करोड़ रुपए का जो है कैपेक्स सरकार जो है ये साल में करने वाली है. और ये अक्रॉस द बोर्ड होने वाला है, फिर चाहे वो NHI के लिए हो या फिर मेट्रो प्रोजेक्ट्स के लिए हो, जल जीवन मिशन के लिए हो, मनरेगा के लिए हो, इन सभी के लिए सरकार ने एलोकेशन किया हुआ है. PM ग्राम सड़क योजना के लिए सरकार ने 12% का लोकेशन बढ़ाया हुआ है. So I think the proposal for capex, यहाँ पे we all know that roads, railway are the two most important sector for the job creation. After agriculture, construction is the only sector which generate lot of employment opportunities. So अगर ये capex जो है reality में deliver होगा जैसा कि उम्मीद है, तो obviously job creation में help मिलेगी. And we believe that the companies in this infrastructure space, which is be diverse in nature, फिर चाहे कंस्ट्रक्शन कंपनी हो या फिर रेलवे कंपनीज हैं या मेट्रो ईपीसी कंपनीज हैं, वाटर ट्रीटमेंट कंपनीज हैं, सीमेंट कंपनीज हैं, ऑल दीज कंपनी विल बी दी बेनिफिशरीज. सो ऑन माय राइट हैंड साइड द बेनिफिशरी अगर आप देखेंगे तो कंस्ट्रक्शन में पीएससी प्रोजेक्ट्स, अहलूवालिया कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, एनसीसी, कैपेसिटी इंफ्रा, ये कुछ कंपनीज हैं जो हमें लगता है कि एक तो इनका बिजनेस मॉडल काफ़ी एसेट लाइट है, दे आर हैविंग गुड ऑर्डर बुक, तो यहाँ पे रेवेन्यू विजिबिलिटी जो है नियर टू मीडियम टर्म में काफ़ी अच्छी लग रही है. रेलवे की बात करें तो यहाँ पे जय कुमार इंफ्रा, आरटीडी सीमेंटेशन, एनसीसी, ये कंपनीज काफ़ी अच्छी लग रही हैं. वाटर ट्रीटमेंट एक बड़ा अपॉर्चुनिटी है इंडस्ट्री में. यहाँ पे वाटर बायबैक, आयोन एक्सचेंज, वेल्सपन एंटरप्राइजेस, WPIL, तो ये कुछ कंपनीज हैं जो बेनिफिट करेंगी. एंड ऑफकोर्स सीमेंट स्पेस जो मोनिका ने पहले बताया है, तो हमें लगता है कि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जो है ये फोकस में रहने वाला है. सरकार नई बन चुकी है तो ऑब्वियसली जो पॉलिसी को लेकर जो सर्टेनिटी है वो बरकरार रहने वाली है. तो आई थिंक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर विल रिमेन द फोकस एरिया फॉर द गवर्नमेंट. Next is railway. So that told you the railway and the railway being part of infrastructure is also a driver for the growth. तो अगर आप देखेंगे तो इस साल भी जो एलोकेशन है रेलवे के लिए वो 2.5 ट्रिलियन रुपीस का है, 2.5 लाख करोड़ रुपया, जो कि 2024 से थोड़ा सा इम्प्रूवमेंट है वहाँ पे. और सरकार अक्रॉस द बोर्ड, चाहे वो इलेक्ट्रिफिकेशन को लेकर के हो या सुरक्षा को लेकर के हो, रेलवे टेलीकॉम को लेकर के हो, तो यहाँ पे स्पेंडिंग जो है वो सरकार की बरकरार है. ऊपर से सरकार जो पहले के जो बोगीज हैं उसको सरकार जो है कन्वर्ट कर रही है नए बोगीज में, जो कि ज़्यादा स्पीड से दौड़ सकेंगी. तो यहाँ पे 40,000 जो रेलवे बोगीज हैं उनको कन्वर्ट करने का सरकार का प्लान है नियर टर्म में, जो कि इंटरिम बजट में सरकार ने डिक्लेयर किया था, और ये आगे भी जारी रह सकता है. तो हमें लगता है कि जो कंपनीज रेलवे के लिए या रेलवे सेक्टर से इन्वॉल्व हैं डायरेक्टली या इनडायरेक्टली, वो यहाँ पे बेनिफिट करेंगे. जैसे अगर मैं बात करूँ ईपीसी कंपनीज की, तो यहाँ पे एनसीसी, पीएनसी इंफ्रा, राइट्स, आरबीएनएल, इरकॉन इंटरनेशनल, अहलूवालिया कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, ये कुछ कंपनीज हैं जो रेलवे या फिर स्टेशन के मॉडर्नाइजेशन के लिए काम करती हैं. सो हमें लगता है कि ये कंपनीज जो है नियर टर्म में अच्छा करेंगी. फिर स्ट्रक्चरल ट्यूब्स, आप देखेंगे कि स्टेशन या फिर एयरपोर्ट्स बनाने में जो स्ट्रक्चरल ट्यूब का इस्तेमाल होता है, तो यहाँ पे एपीएल अपोलो जो है एक बड़ा बेनिफिशियरी बन सकता है भविष्य में. वैगन्स के लिए यहाँ पे टीटागढ़ रेल वैगन्स, जुपिटर वैगन्स, टेक्समैको रेल, ये कुछ कंपनीज हैं जो वैगन्स में काफ़ी स्पेशलाइज प्लेयर्स हैं. और मेट्रो के लिए दोस्तों, जैसे जो अमृतकाल का फेज है, सरकार ये कह रही है कि ये अगले 20-25 सालों में जो मेट्रो का जो प्रेजेंस है, जो अभी 11 सिटी में है, 11 शहरों में है, इसको और बढ़ाया जाएगा. तो ऑब्वियसली नए मेट्रो कोचेस की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी. तो यहाँ पे BEML, टीटागढ़ जो है, हमें लगता है कि कुछ ऐसी कंपनियां हैं जो कि इस ग्रोथ स्टोरी में जो है पार्टिसिपेट कर सकती हैं. लॉजिस्टिक्स में कंटेनर कॉर्पोरेशन, गेटवे डिस्ट्रिक्ट पार्क, एजिस लॉजिस्टिक, तो गणेश बेंजोप्लास्ट, कुछ और कंपनीज हैं जो कि इनडायरेक्टली जो है यहाँ पे लॉजिस्टिक सेक्टर में जो है बेनिफिशियरी बन सकती है भविष्य में. तो दैट्स ऑल फ्रॉम माय साइड. नाउ आई गिव इट टू सुमित टू टेक इट फॉरवर्ड फ्रॉम हियर. थैंक यू.
थैंक यू राजेश सर. तो मूविंग ऑन टू इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर, तो गवर्नमेंट का फोकस हर बजट में इस सेक्टर पे रहा है. So the highlight in this budget was that allocation to the semiconductor sector has seen a massive rise by almost 5x. And इसमें in the last 6 months हमने देखा है कि Tata Electronics and CG Power they have proposed to set up semiconductor plants in India. So a massive allocation where government will be funding almost 50% of the project cost for both the companies. Similarly, PLI scheme has also seen an increase in allocation, and the focus of the government has been on reducing the import duties on critical inputs, as well as promoting local domestic value addition. So the key beneficiaries in this sector are, obviously we have seen Dixon Technologies benefiting in a big way. Then there is the AC contract manufacturers like Ambar Enterprises, EPAC Durables, PJ Electroplast. Ambar Enterprises also has gone into backward integration into other electronics components, as well as into railway electronics, which again will be a big beneficiary. Additionally, PCB design and assembly. तो PCBA imports पे भी गवर्नमेंट ने कस्टम ड्यूटी बढ़ा दी, तो इससे there will be benefit for companies which are into PCB design and assembly like Sirma SGS है, Keynes Technology, Avalon Technologies. तो ये सब बेनिफिशियरीज रह गए. एडिशनली डिस्प्ले इकोसिस्टम में ऑप्टिमस इंफ्रा ने कॉर्निंग इंफ्रा के साथ एक प्लांट सेटअप करने वाला है इन तमिलनाडु फॉर डिस्प्ले मैन्युफैक्चरिंग. So this again, Optimus Infra from the listed space will be a key beneficiary. So overall, EMS sector is poised to grow at a very high growth rate in the next couple of years. अब बढ़ते हैं पावर सेक्टर की ओर. तो पावर सेक्टर में दिस बजट हैज फोकस्ड ऑन इम्प्रूविंग द डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एंड द ट्रांसमिशन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. तो ट्रांसमिशन लाइंस हो गई, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में वन नीड्स ट्रांसफॉर्मर्स एंड अदर इक्विपमेंट लाइक केबल्स एंड कॉपर कंडक्टर्स. तो कैपिटल आउटले बढ़ा दिया है इस बजट में ऑन रिफॉर्म लिंक्ड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन स्कीम बाय 21%. ऑल्सो गवर्नमेंट ने दो थर्मल पावर प्लांट्स अनाउंस किए हैं, जिससे द की बेनिफिशियरीज विल बी एनटीपीसी एंड बीएचईएल. बीएचईएल कैपिटल गुड्स इक्विपमेंट प्रोवाइड करता है फॉर थर्मल पावर प्लांट्स. Already इसका order book काफी अच्छा है, and going forward with these two additional plants, there will be expectation of fresh orders for BHEL as well. अगर पावर इक्विपमेंट की बात करें तो ट्रांसफॉर्मर्स एंड रेक्टिफायर्स, वोल्टैम्प ट्रांसफॉर्मर्स, इन सभी कंपनी को अच्छे ऑर्डर्स मिल रहे हैं, एंड दे हैव बीन एग्जीक्यूटिंग आल्सो वेरी एट अ रैपिड पेस, which is also reflected in their results. Similarly, EPC companies like KEC International and Kalpataru projects, which help in setting up the transmission lines and the distribution infrastructure. So they are also getting good orders. Cables and other consumables like KEI Industries, Apar Industries, their demand for their products also has been on the higher side and will continue to do well. And power equipment is required across all the other industries as well. So be it data centers, green hydrogen production, other backup data systems and power systems. So there is a massive opportunity across the sector. Also, one important theme is the smart meter theme, where the government is focusing on reducing the transmission losses. So names like Genus Power and HPL Electric will benefit from the smart meter orders. Moving on to clean energy, so this budget focused on two key segments, that is solar energy, where the PM Muft Bijli Yojana, that is the solar rooftop scheme that has remains in focus, wherein 1 crore households will be eligible to set up rooftop solar plants under this scheme. And also the PM Kusum scheme has seen an 81% increase in allocation, which is nothing but solar pumps. So similarly, there will be beneficiaries in the pump segment, where Shakti Pumps also has a very good order book from the solar pump segment, and KSB Pumps and WPIL are other pump companies. Other green energy companies like solar panel manufacturers, where Gensol Engineering, Vari Renewable, companies which are benefiting from the domestic production. there has been a cut in the import duty on equipment which is required for production of solar panels, as well as solar glass manufacturers like Borosil Renewables. तो गवर्नमेंट ने इस बजट में imported solar glass पे ड्यूटी बढ़ा दी है, तो ये Borosil Renewables will be a direct beneficiary of this. एंड डिवर्सिफाइड पावर यूटिलिटीज में टाटा पावर, एनटीपीसी हमेशा फोकस में रहते हैं, बोथ फ्रॉम अ क्लीन एनर्जी पर्सपेक्टिव एज वेल एज द ट्रेडिशनल पावर सेगमेंट. Next up is the defense sector. तो defense sector में there weren't many major announcements in this budget, but if you see the interim budget as well as the previous budgets, as well as outside of the budget, the government keeps on focusing on increasing the domestic production of defense equipment. तो ओवरऑल डिफेंस का बजट इस बजट में फ्लैटिश है, बट अगर हम केपेक्स की बात करें, जो पैसा इंक्रीमेंटल एडिशनल डिफेंस इक्विपमेंट में जाएगा, तो देयर हैज बीन अ 10% इंक्रीज. एंड इसमें इक्विपमेंट सच एज नेवल वॉरशिप्स, सबमरीन्स, फाइटर जेट्स, इन सब की एक्विजिशन एंड प्रोडक्शन पे गवर्नमेंट ने फोकस किया है. And naturally, companies such as HAL, Musgao Docks, Garden Reach Shipbuilders, Cochin Shipyards will benefit from these large order books. Additionally, missile systems and military hardware, so Zen Technologies, Bharat Dynamics, as well as explosive companies such as Solar Industries and Premier Explosives, they also have been receiving very good orders. And there is also a benefit from reduction in import duty on critical minerals. So defense equipment requires a lot of special steel, titanium and other alloys, and companies like Midhani and PTC Industries, which manufacture castings for these defense equipment, they will also benefit from importing this raw material, which is their key raw material. Additionally, these companies, though are sitting on large order books, and one should focus on companies which will be executing these orders well as it will be reflected in their earnings. So this was the update on all these sectors. I now hand over to Shweta to help us on the BFSI sector. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Now we'll look at the financial sector. The fiscal deficit for FY25 was reduced to 4.9% versus a 5.1% mentioned in the interim budget. Further, it is expected to decline to 4.5% in FY26. This reducing fiscal deficit and adhering to the fiscal glide path is positive for the macroeconomy. The lower borrowing target for FY25 is expected to cool off the bond yield. The bond yield is already trading at lower than 7%. This will be positive for all the banks and helping in reducing their cost of funds. Next is the investment of 10 trillion over the next 5 years in PMAY Urban 2.0. This initiative will give boost to the affordable housing demand. In this budget, the public sector banks are urged to develop their in-house MSME credit assistance to provide them support and government guarantee funds during their stress asset. This will help in supporting the MSME ecosystems. In this budget, the custom duty in the capital goods required in solar panels and manufacturing, solar cells and panel manufacturing has been reduced. Augur well for all the renewable finances, as it will improve their project efficiency. Custom duty in gold and silver has been reduced to 6%, and for platinum, it has been reduced to 0.4%. This is slightly negative for the gold finances, as the overall value of the collateral will slightly decline and will discourage people from taking gold loans. In this budget, the STT in FNO has been increased to 0.02% from 0.0125%, and the option has increased to 0.10% from 0.0625% respectively. This will discourage the investors from taking speculative activity and encourage investors to shift to long-term strategy. The impact of the same need to be monitored over the next few quarters. Now we'll look at the few key beneficiary of this. First is in the NBFC segment, we have LIC Housing, followed by PNB Housing, Home First, Ugro, REC, TSC, and HUDCO, mainly driven by the reduction in capital custom duty in solar panels. Then in the banks, we have ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, Federal, Karur Vysya, Bank of Baroda, and Canara Bank, mainly led by MSME boost and as well as fall in the bond yield going forward. It is slightly negative for all the capital market companies like Angel One and BSE because the higher tax in STT in FNO can discourage the capital market participants for entering into speculative activity. And for the gold finances like Muthoot Finance and Manappuram, it is slightly negative in the short term, but we remain positive in these names in the long-term prospects. That's it from my side. Now we can hand over to Mr. Sunny Agrawal.
Yeah, thanks everyone for giving your description on each and every sector and the key beneficiary. So moving on to the next slide. So what we have done post this budget, we have recommended 10 stocks for a long-term investment horizon. One has to keep in mind that all these 10 stocks, the investment horizon is at least 12 months. And just I will give a one-line description for choosing all these 10 companies one by one. So TCS, what we believe is that IT sectors is out of good, and the TCS number were above the street expectation. And at the same time, TCS give a kind of defensive flavor to the portfolio. So hence we have recommended TCS with a price target of 4,828 rupees, 4,828. NTPC, again a play on power. So power is one of the focus area for the government, trading at a reasonable valuation, 2x price to book. At the same time, we will see the IPO of the renewable energy portfolio. So NTPC will demerge its renewable energy portfolio, and listing is expected very soon. So that can unlock the value as far as NTPC is concerned. REC Limited, again a play on power sector through financing. It's a power finance company, and the company has went on record to say that their loan book advances will double in the span of next 5 years. So that's a pretty healthy growth rate, 15% kind of compounded annual growth rate on advances front. One of the key torchbearer as far as financing the power, especially on renewable energy side, is concerned. Hero MotoCorp, again a play on rural belt. Two-wheeler industry of late has been doing well, trading at a reasonable valuation. Kalyan Jeweler, one of the key beneficiary of reduction in custom duty on gold and silver. So that will lead to a reduction in competitive intensity among the player, and that will give push to the volumes also. So Kalyan Jeweler we have recommended. LIC Housing Finance, again play on housing finance sector. So trading at a very reasonable valuation, and we have seen a turnaround in performance in during FY24, and we expect a decent growth as far as the advances are concerned for LIC Housing Finance. Amara Raja Battery, known as Amara Raja Energy and Mobility Limited. There we expect one of the key beneficiary of reduction in import duty on lithium. At the same time, the company has commercialized its new business venture, wherein they are setting up a lithium-ion gigafactory. So we will see a gradual increment in contribution from that factory over the period of next 2 to 3 years. BEML Limited, again predominantly a company which is focusing on metro. At the same time, the company has got one vertical which is focusing on construction equipment, and one vertical which is focusing on defense and aerospace. So I think all the three verticals are one of the key growth driver for the company, as well as the focus area for the government. So I think BML can be added in the portfolio. Bombay Burma, which is an holding company of Britannia. So this will again add an defensive flavor to the portfolio. We expect Britannia to report a pretty good set of number in FY25 as compared to FY24. And Welspun Enterprises, basically a play on roads and water treatment. Again, trading at a very reasonable valuation and can be added in a medium to long-term portfolio. So these are the all 10 stocks. So if you want to go through a detailed investment rationale for each and every company, that is available on SBI in our budget report. That is available on SBI Securities website. At the same time, when we began this presentation, we have shared the bit.ly link also for accessing that report. So you can go and definitely look at that report. In case still you are not able to access that report, you can get in touch with your relationship manager at SBI Securities, and we will be happy to share that report again with you. So moving on to next slide. So if I have to conclude today's discussion, what I believe is that what one can conclude is that this budget clearly states the intent of the government, that they want a growth to be a capex driven model, and hence the government has taken an initiative to spend aggressive close to 11 lakh crore over the period of next 7 to 8 months. Already 4 months we have seen has been spent, has gone behind, but during the last 4 months we have seen the capex was very negligible as the government was under the election mode, and I expect a significant uptick in the order inflow for many order book driven businesses over the period of next 3 to 6 months. So all those companies will be under radar due to the heavy capex program of the government of India. Relatively lower borrowing, as we have already discussed, and that will be advantage for corporate India. So lower borrowing by government of India will soften the bond yield, and that will give access to a cheaper capital for private players. Fiscal deficit, we have already discussed this in detail earlier. So there is an outright chance of rating upgrade for India post this in line with expectation fiscal deficit presented by government of India. And one has to keep in mind that it is not only budget which will drive the policy and reform decision, right? So as per the history, we have seen many sectors which where we have seen initiative by government to reform and to give the push out of the budget. And I believe many such measures or announcement will be there by the government, and it can be from state government or central government. So anyone can take that initiative to attract an investment and give push to their respective economy. Rationalization of capital gain tax, that has reduced the arbitrage between the financial asset and real asset. There has been a lot of hue and cry about a capital gain tax, removal of indexation benefit on real estate. I think it's a very big positive if somebody is a new investor in a real estate sector. It simplifies the tax structure. It removes the arbitrage between financial asset and real asset. And I believe in the long run, this will be add a lot of value to the economy. And I feel going forward, since the budget event is now behind us, the focus will shift back to the ongoing earnings season, distribution of monsoon, or global cues like expected interest rate cut from US Fed, and changing political scenario in a large developed economy. So we all know US is undergoing an election, and we may see a change in government in the month of November. And in case Trump's get elected, there will be a lot of changes at a policy level. Trump is a very inward focused person, wherein he will try to push manufacturing back in the US, and a lot of trade barriers may be enacted for many countries. So let us see how the political scenario pan out in US over the period of next 2 to 3 months. Again, the key event to track. So next US Fed meeting is on 31st of July. That is just 5 days away from here. So it is expected that the rate cut in the US will be beginning from the month of September, and maybe 1 or 2 rate cut can be seen in the current calendar year, and then next calendar year we will see a higher number of rate cut. So any positive commentary by US Fed in the upcoming policy on 31st July augurs well for emerging markets and commodities market. Following the US Fed meeting, our RBI interest rate policy, RBI policy is on 8th of August. So I believe that RBI is keenly waiting for US Fed to take a first move on rate cut. And if that is the case, I believe even we may hear some positive commentary from RBI on the rate cut side. Overall, if I see a global economic scenario, globally inflation has tapered, has come down, and China has become very aggressive in terms of interest rate cut to give a push to the economy. So we have seen that the rate, a biggest rate cut by China since 2020. So China getting aggressive on rate cut, any improvement in China can be looked as a positive for global commodities, and at the same time, in case simultaneously there is a rate cut by the US also, that will give a lot of boost to the global commodities and stocks, commodity prices, and hence companies from metal and mining can benefit out of that. Globally inflation is coming down, so we have seen already some of the economies they have begun a rate cut cycle. Now it is up to the many central bankers are looking up to the US Fed to begin a rate cut cycle. In terms of valuation, yes, Nifty 50 is currently trading at 22 times 1 year forward price to earning multiple. Historically, the long-term average has been in the band of 15 to 17 if I take a 10-year average. So when I say 22 time price to earning multiple, it is slightly on higher side as far as valuations are concerned, and hence you will see that there is a lot of chatter going on in the market that markets are expensive and it may correct. But one has to keep in mind that it is a liquidity which is not allowing the market to correct. So there was one data which said that equity mutual funds are sitting on a cash balance of close to 1.2 to 1.3 lakh crore rupees. And on the top of that, they are receiving a gross SIP inflow of close to 20,000 crore every month. So every 2-3% or 4% dip, we will see mutual funds trying to deploy their cash, and that will not allow market to correct significantly from the current level. Having said that, stock specific opportunity do exist. Kindly stick to the companies where we will see a healthy earning growth over the period of next 24 to 36 months. Their relatively expensive valuation can sustain. So companies which are growing profit north of 20-25%, there we will see a valuation can remain on an expensive side, and that can sustain. Any disappointment on a high P stock, high valuation stock can lead to a deeper correction. So we need to be very alert and keep vigil eye on ongoing earnings season, result season, and take a cue from the company that how the next few quarters are going to pan out for all the companies across the various sectors. Overall, if I have to sum up, Indian economy is on a very strong footing with a healthy debt to GDP ratio, stable currency, healthy forex reserve, controlled inflation, healthy GST collection, and narrative of revival in in the rural belt. So I think from an economic perspective, India is the shining star among the large economy, and there is no doubt that we are one of the fastest growing economy, aspire to become a third largest economy by 2030. So if you ask me a slightly longer term horizon view, I believe equity market can double from the current levels in the next 5 years. Yes, volatility will be part and parcel of the market, and that will keep on going. Many events will come and go. So I believe it's a buy on deep market, stick to quality businesses, and it's a time to conserve the profit. So I believe that all of us would have made a lot of wealth during the last 2 to 3 years, and it's a time to conserve that wealth and tone down our expectation of market returns at least for next 6 to 8 months. So I believe the fair level of expectation should be 12 to 14% return on the large base which we have created during last 2 to 3 years. So don't go over leverage in the position. If you are a trader, kindly adhere to your stop losses. Don't take any large outside adventurous bet at least for next 2 to 3 months, where we may see an increase in volatility once the US election outcome are close by. So just to sum up, what we believe is that for the next 6 to 12 months, the sectors which are likely to do well are auto and auto ancillary, real estate, IT and telecom. IT, we have already seen a above expectation number coming from IT company. Telecom, we have already seen an one round of tariff hike to the tune of 15 to 20%. So all the IT services company will report a very good set of number. Private and public sector bank and non-banking financial services company, consumer discretionary durable company. So we have seen a record heat wave during the current season. and consumer durable companies are likely to report a very good set of number. At the same time, revival in demand from a rural belt also augur well for consumer appliances company. Cement, although a weak quarter for the cement due to the monsoon, but we believe in the second half of current fiscal year, cement as a sector will do well. Metals and mining, again, a global cyclical. So we need to keep track of global inventories and what is in policy which is driving the demand and supply environment. But in the long run, we continue to remain bullish on metals and mining. But we are more bullish on metal products. So companies which are into the structural steel tubes, the companies which are into the wire rope, all these companies can be looked as an proxy play to infrastructure in India. Capital goods and engineering, very good sector sitting on a robust order book, but here the valuations have turned very expensive. So one need to wait for the stocks to cool off, and then probably one can look at capital goods and engineering as a sector. Pharma, again, this sector was underperformer since last 4 to 6 months, and now being a defensive play, we are seeing a lot of buying interest in pharma, infra, and power. In terms of sector where we are neutral, and there are chances that there may be some revival in demand. So media, we are seeing a very good result from a print-based media company. So DB Corp has reported a very strong set of number. At the same time, advertisement spend are coming back as seen from the FMCG companies. So I think media across the board may do well over the period of next 12 to 18 months. Oil and gas are trading at a very reasonable valuation. So all the oil marketing companies are trading at close to 5 to 6 time price to earning multiple. And that's a large sector where government has not done much during the last 2 tenure. So any big reform in the oil and gas sector will augur well for the entire sector, and the entire value chain can benefit out of that, whether it is upstream company, downstream company, gas companies. So I believe oil and gas can be one of the contra play over the period of next 12 months. The sectors which are a clear underperformer were chemicals, quick service, restaurant, footwear, and textile. So I believe all the 4 sectors, in case there is slight hope of revival in the current earnings season, we may see stock price moving up over the period of next 3 to 6 months. But we need to first hear out the management about the demand environment and then venture into this sector. So this was the overall just general view on various sectors over the period of next 6 to 12 months. Yeah, so that was all from our side. So now we can keep the floor open for question and answer session. So what we will do, we will take question one by one in the sequence, and that way we can go ahead. So in case somebody want to ask any question, please feel free to drop your question in the chat box, and we will try to answer each and every question. So yeah, so there was a first question. Sir, please give stock advice for 1 year at least. So yes, sorry, I don't know your name. Thanks for asking this question. So we have already recommended the list of 10 stocks that can be bought from a medium to long-term investment horizon. And in addition to that, what I would recommend that in case you are a long-term investor, there are many products through which we keep on recommending ideas like pick of the day, pick of the week, rock stars of quarterly results, rising star. So all these recommendations are available on SBI Securities mobile app, and at the same time you can find reading material on SBI Securities website. In addition to that, we are posting all these reports on a Telegram channel of SBI Securities, so you can join them. For your benefit, what I will do, I will just keep that slide once again of recommendation open for everyone, so that everyone can benefit out of that. So TCS, NTPC, REC, Hero Motocorp, Kalyan Jeweler, LIC Housing Finance, Amara Raja Energy and Mobility Limited, which is nothing but Amara Raja Battery, BEML, Bombay Burma Trading Corporation, and Welspun Corp. Again, the next question is: give your opinion on railway and Adani stocks. Which stock is best to buy in railway sector? So one thing is pretty sure that railway sector has created a humongous wealth during the last 2 years, and we have already seen price to earning multiple valuation parameter. So all these railway companies used to trade at 7 to 8 times price to earning multiple, and right now the valuation has expanded in the range of 35 to 70 times, 70 times price to earning multiple. So railway, yes, I agree, is the focus area of the government, and we will see a very healthy set of number. But what has happened is that stock has already run ahead of time, and the street would like to see the execution first. So maybe a quarter or two, street will first look at the numbers from all these railway companies. However, having said that, if I have to pick one sub-sector within the railway which can do well, so I think railway wagon is the one sector where we are bullish on. So companies like Jupiter Wagon, Texmaco, Titagarh Rail, all these three companies, we are expecting a very robust execution during the next 12 months. So next 4 quarters, you will see a very good set of numbers from all these four companies. BEML, again, which we have recommended, is the proxy play on increasing metro network across the various cities. And at the same time, they are also venturing into the various other railway products. So I think BEML can also be considered as one of the railway play. In addition to that, we are hearing a lot of measures from the government on a railway safety front. So Kavach is one of the project which government can implement for this railway safety. So companies which are catering to these safety features can be in the limelight. But what I would recommend is that first let the order come, let the companies win the order, and at that point of time, we can pick and choose companies which are likely to be the key beneficiaries of the Kavach order. I hope I have answered your question. So the next question is from STT cash increase from yesterday onwards on delivery purchase. Please check. Dear Mr. Subbarao, I think the STT has been changed only for futures and options, and even that is applicable from 1st of October. So STT on cash has not been tampered with. There is no change in cash market STT. And I believe there is some misunderstanding at your end. So there is no change in STT as far as this union budget is concerned. So there is a concern on removal of indexation and loss due to that. Again, this computation will vary from a person to person. So if somebody who has bought the property between 2001 to 23rd July 2024, everyone has got a different buying price and selling price. So based on that, the computation will differ from person to person. But one has to keep in mind that in case you are deploying that proceed again back to purchase and property, so there is no question of loss because the entire money will be exempt from the capital gain. So there are tools which are still available for guys who can save the tax through redeployment of fund in either in the property or various tax saving bonds. So I think that measures can be adopted if somebody want to avoid a large implication of tax on sale of property. The next question is from Amit Chatterjee. Thanks for asking this question and attending our webinar. Is Vatek Vabak good investment for long term? And the next question is Ion Exchange or VRPL for investment. I think yes, looking at the way there is a strong tailwind from the government on water treatment and water supply side, I think Vatek Vabak can be a good investment for long term. And Ion Exchange and VRPL, again, both are the very good companies from a long-term perspective. But at the current juncture, Vishnu Prakash, R. Pungalia looks a better place because the valuations are reasonable compared to Ion Exchange. So you can add a VRPL, Vatek, Wabak, and at the same time, Ion Exchange can also be added in your portfolio if you are a medium to long-term investor. The next question is from Amit Chatterjee. What will be the best pick from EMS sector? So Amit, I will request our analyst Sumit to address this question. Sumit, if you can address this question, yeah, please.
Yes, so see, the EMS sector has a lot of opportunities. So the two companies that we are currently bullish on are Amba Enterprises as well as Sirma SGS. Amba Enterprises is a large supplier of AC components, and we have seen the results of the other two AC manufacturers, which were very strong, and expect Amba Enterprises also to report very good numbers from the AC segment, as well as it is entering into the EMS space, which is the electronic component assembly and manufacturing, which will expand its total market beyond ACs to other segments like healthcare, auto, and consumer durables. So Amber Enterprises is steadily diversifying, and we feel that going forward, its growth rate, earnings growth could pick up. So Amber Enterprises is one, and second one is Sirma SGS, where again it has a large order book, which will translate into a good revenue growth in the next few quarters and years. And it is also a diversified company in terms of the end user industry. So a supplier to the automotive, consumer durable, healthcare, as well as the company is now entering new segments of aerospace and defense. So both these companies look good from a medium to long term perspective.
Yeah, thanks, Sumit. Yeah, we will move on to the next question. The next question is, what about Ambuja Cement? Will it get a boost and paint companies like Asian Paint? Yes, we continue to remain bullish on cement sector, especially from second half of the current fiscal year. And Ambuja Cement, which is now part of Adani Group, we have seen a very aggressive inorganic strategy, growth strategy adopted by the company. So we continue to remain bullish on Ambuja Cement from a medium to long term perspective. Paint companies, so what is happening in the paint sector is that there is an increase in competitive intensity from new players like JSW and Aditya Birla. And despite of that, we have seen increase in so Asian Paint, which is a market leader, they have taken a price hike of late. So we have seen two price hike to the tune of 1 to 1.5% in the span of last 1 month. So paint right now, because of increase in competitive intensity, we have maintained a neutral stance. However, if somebody is a long-term investor, yes, this sector will continue to do well in a long run in a fast-growing economy like India. So what we will do, what we would recommend you is that kindly be in a wait and watch mode. Let's see how other paint companies are reporting numbers in this quarter. And once there is more clarity on the strategy from JSW Group and Grasim Aditya Birla Group on the paint strategy, what has been the response to their entry into the market, and at that time we will recommend you to make a position in the paint company. Till that time, we can stay away from a paint as a sector. The next question is from Mr. Shankaran. House rents have increased dramatically. What is the reason? Sorry, sir, I can't answer why the house rents have increased drastically. House rent is a function of demand and supply, and it's a very micro subject. So house rent within the locality also differs from building to building and area to area. So that's a matter of demand and supply. So in case in some locality there is then a sudden built up of corporate offices, that area usually tend to have a higher rent as compared to a local people residing in that locality. This is a question which is a very micro market related question, and there is no generic answer for this. Mr. Tamal Ganguly has commented that all the companies that have been selected have a PE of about 40. Tell me something about companies ROE and ROCE. So, Mr. Tamal, let's be assured that all the companies which have mentioned, which have been recommended here, they have got a very good return on equity and return on capital employed. If you want numbers, individual return on equity and ROCE number, kindly drop an mail to your, or you can ask your advisor or your relationship manager. He can get in touch with us, research team, and we will be more than happy to provide you this data on all the 10 companies mentioned in this today's webinar. Next question is from Mr. Gopal Krishna Raju. Thanks for attending our webinar, sir. Where SBI stock is placed in this scenario? So sorry, Gopalji, I can't answer this question as per the compliance-led restriction. We are not allowed to speak on any company which is associated with State Bank of India. So I'm very sorry for that. I can't answer this question on SBI, but rest be assured, SBI as a bank is one of the largest bank in India, and the performance speaks for itself. So you have seen that how profitability has improved for an SBI bank over the period of last 3 to 4 years, and I believe the future is bright for entire SBI group. The next question is from Siddharji. Siddharji, glad to see you again in our webinar. Thanks for attending. Why rupee has depreciated even after FII buying? What will be the effect of weaker rupee on GSEC bond? So Siddharji, what has happened is that RBI has been regularly buying dollar from the market and trying to squeeze the liquidity and keeping the rupee artificially depreciated. Had there not been an intervention from RBI, I believe the rupee would have definitely appreciated at a current juncture. This clearly shows that there is a micromanagement which is being done by RBI with a certain strategy in mind to keep the rupee low as compared to the dollar. And yes, definitely what will be the effect of weaker rupee on the GSEC bond? So what will happen is that in case the rupee is weaker, that will at least a case in point, suppose since the government bond has been included in the JP Morgan bond index, right? So there is an inflow of $2 to $3 billion every month, which is expected on this bond portfolio from foreign institutional investor. So from a foreign institutional investor perspective, they will benefit out of weaker rupee since they will get an entry at an attractive price. And I believe that is something which is panning out at a current juncture. In terms of bond yield, yes, the bond yield is a function of, again, a multiple factor in the economy. The demand supply obviously is the one factor, and what is an inflation trajectory and what is an RBI benchmark rate, that will determine the bond yield trajectory. Right now, 10-year risk-free bond rate, bond yield is close to 6.95%, and I believe that the bond yield can further soften from here, subject to the rate cut by an RBI. Wait, I will ask our banking analyst if she has got some comment to add on this. Shweta, if you want to add something on this.
Hello? Yeah, the recent inclusion of India in the global bond index has led to the fall in the GSEC yield to below 7%. And further, we are expecting the GSEC yield to go down with the Fed meeting due next week, and we're expecting a rate cut in September. So we're expecting this trend to go down further, which will be beneficial for all the banks and NBFC in decreasing their cost of funds. Yeah, that's it from my side.
Yeah, thanks, Shweta. We will move on to the next question. Siddharji, I hope we have answered your question. And in case you have further doubt, you can get back to us. The next question is from Mr. Gopal Krishna Raju. PS, public sector banks are quoting at a throwaway price despite good results and dividend. Yes, Gopalji, we agree that public sector banks are trading at a very reasonable valuation at a current juncture. And one has to keep in mind that the one round of re-rating has already completed in a public sector bank. So all these banks were trading close to at valuations of close to 0.4, 2.5 price to book. And right now we are seeing that majority of the public sector banks are trading close to 1 to 1.5 price to book multiple, which has been an historical long-term average. So they are trading close to the historical long-term average price to book multiple. However, there are certain public sector banks like Indian Bank, UCO, Punjab and Sindh Bank, which were under trouble due to being under a PCA regime. And now this smaller set of banks, which are kind of regional banks, there we are seeing a kind of turnaround. So let's see whether the performance will sustain henceforth, because one has to keep in mind that right now, after having a very kind of golden run during the last 2 to 3 years, now banking as an industry is witnessing some stress in terms of asset quality, especially on the unsecured loan book and on the microfinance side. So there is a slight amount of challenge which is emerging for the public sector banks, in fact, for the entire banking sector. So one need to be, as we have seen that today Axis Bank have reported slight a deterioration in the asset quality. So even a larger size banks are witnessing some pressure as far as asset quality is concerned. So what I would suggest is that within the public sector bank, you should stick to the larger size banks like Canara Bank, Bank of Baroda, Indian Bank, rather than going for banks like Punjab, Sindh, or for that matter, UCO. There is a lot of issue on the liquidity side also, because if you see Punjab and Sindh Bank, there the government of India is holding 98%. So the float is very low in all such banks, and any disappointment on result front can lead to a correction in all these small name where the float is very low. The next question is from Vishal. You miss an important proposal in this budget, the proposal for inviting private sector investment in setting up a Bharat small nuclear reactor. Yes, I think that point was covered by us during the presentation. And again, that's a very good initiative by the government of India. And I believe this entire ecosystem of small nuclear plant or nuclear reactor will give a lot of boost to the many companies. And there are many companies in which are catering to this nuclear sector. So companies like Walchand Nagar Industry, or for that matter, Hindustan Construction, all these companies can be looked upon from a nuclear reactor perspective. Rajesh, do you want to add anything on this nuclear side?
I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, Rajesh, please go ahead.
Yeah. So I think it's a good move by the government to really, encourage the private player to start with a small nuclear reactor. We all know that we are actually focusing more on the renewable side, and few of our neighboring countries investing a lot of money in that. So to answer the question, the company which are going to benefit, I think at present, Nuclear Power Corporation is the big player in this segment. To some extent, I would say the larger player like L&T, etc., could be the likely candidate in the near term. But we'll have to wait and see how this event unfolds in the near term. I think it's a good move, and any company which is linked to this area will likely to get benefit, including the likes of, let's say, BHEL or NTPC. So that's a view on this particular development. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Rajesh. Yeah, let us move on to next question. What is your advice on IRFC and other railway stocks? So we have already discussed this in the one of the prior question. So I think railway as a sector will continue to remain under focus, and IRFC, I think again that's a railway finance focus NBFC which belongs to the central government. But again, in terms of valuation, we are not very comfortable as far as IRFC is concerned. So if I am in your place, I would like to avoid this stock at the current juncture. Valuations are expensive, and we'll wait for further correction to enter into the stock like IRFC. So Gopalji is again asking question whether the increase in long-term and short-term capital gain tax will arrest decline of deposits in public sector banks with immediate effect. I think again the answer may be yes or no. Nobody knows. We need to see the trend over the period of next 3 to 6 months. In case there is some disappointment from equity market, yes, definitely few of the funds can move back from capital market to the banks in search of safety. So let us see how things pan out over the period of next 3 to 6 months. But yes, definitely government is trying to curb the speculative activity in the market. And in case market don't deliver in terms of return from the current juncture, then few weaker hands which are new in the market, they may move back to the safety, and we may see some increase in deposit base for all the banks. The next question is from Mr. Shankaran. Will budget reduce the inflation? I think again, I think there is nothing in the budget which can stoke the inflation, which can further increase the inflation. In fact, it's a very well balanced budget, and usually the inflation causing things are pertaining to foods and fuel. So if you see, even the MSP increase by the government ahead of this budget was very marginal, in line with expectation. So I think even RBI is doing a very commendable job to maintain the inflation in the range which is expected 4 to 6% as far as CPI is concerned. So I don't think so budget will stoke any inflation or will give push to the inflation. So let us see. I think inflation is well under control. That was never a concern as far as Indian economy is concerned. Indian economy is because if you see RBI statement, the inflation was never an issue. It is now only the global large economies which have to first blink and take the initiative on rate cut, and post that we may see the impact on our economy or step by our central bank as far as rate cut is concerned. The next question is from Mr. Naidu. Which telecom companies will fare well? So I think companies like Bharti, there is no doubt Bharti will continue to report a very healthy set of number. Jio, we have already seen a decent set of number, kind of flattish ARPU for June quarter. But what we believe is that this rate hike was taken in the month of July, right? So the benefit of that will be seen from September onwards. So we will see an uptick in the ARPU for both Jio and as well as Airtel. At the same time, the same thing is applicable for Vodafone. In addition to that, telecom tower company Indus Tower should do well. In addition to that, Tejas Network, which is executing telecom infrastructure for many large big players. So that company has also reported a very good set of numbers. So Tejas Network should do well. Tata Communication, again, a good play in long run, indirectly a play on data as far as India and global economies are concerned. So Tata Communication can also be looked upon if you are a long-term investor. Thanks for asking the question, Gopalji. Again, retail investor during this year will experience difficult times, and good return they cannot expect with increase of taxes. See, taxes, I believe you are alluding to long-term capital gain tax and short-term tax. One has to keep in mind that these taxes are to be paid out of profit, right? First, retail investor need to make a profit. Earlier, if somebody was a long-term investor, he was paying 10 rupee out of the 100 rupee profit. Right now, he will be forced to pay 12.5. That's an incremental 2.5 rupee. That's not a very big amount. And if somebody is a short-term trader and he is minting good money, so earlier he was paying 15 rupee and now he has to pay 20 rupee. That's a difference of 5 rupee only. So I think I don't think so that will have a big dent on any volume or any profitability of a trader. I think ultimately the key is that we have to accept the fact that's already in place and move on and try to make our strategy so as to ensure and a good return in our portfolio. And in case we are making a good return, I think there should be no harm in paying taxes to the government, whether it is short term or long term. What we look when we declare the earnings. So I think if I understood your question right, that what are the various parameters which need to be looked upon when the company declare their profit. I think one of the key important parameter is expectation, how the company has delivered the number versus expectation, because market is all about beating the expectation or unable to or in line with the expectation number or below the estimate number. So what is the expectation from that company, and then based on that, how the company has delivered their numbers. That is one of the key important parameter apart from various other fundamental parameter which we track for any companies under our radar. Can you give a next question is from Mr. Subarao. Can you give Telegram link? Yes, I will request someone to please post the Telegram link in our chat box. Maybe Kishan can post the Telegram link in the chat box. Sir, we will get back to you on this very soon. I think now we will take last 2-3 questions. So we are running out of time. The next question is again from Mr. Gopal Krishna ji. Railway stock will correct for another 3 months. Yes, likely, because we have already seen a good run up in many of these PSU name like RVNL, IRCON, RITES. So there is a possibility that we may see time-wise correction at least, wherein we may see stock price moving in a certain band for a few months, and once quarter or two execution is street get confidence that all these companies are able to execute their order book, at the same time order inflow continue to remain healthy, then we may see a next up move. So yes, there is an outright possibility that we may either see price wise or time wise correction in all the railway stocks. The next question is from Mr. Gurana Nanwani. Your opinion about private banking share. So yes, in long run, we continue to remain bullish on all the private banking space. The reason being that banking as a sector is the backbone of any economy. And historically, we have seen that whenever the GDP, the linkage between the credit growth to GDP is close to 1 to 1.2x. So if we believe that nominal GDP growth is likely to be in the band of 10 to 11 or 12%, the banking sector may continue to see an advances growth in the range of 13 to 15%. Within that, few banks have an aspiration to outperform the industry growth rate. So banks like Axis Bank today mentioned that they are going to outpace the industry average by 300 to 400 basis points. So usually private sector tend to outperform the industry growth rate, average industry growth rate. And we continue to remain bullish on entire private banking space. They have got a best-in-class asset quality. Their provision ratios are pretty high. They are well capitalized. So I think even in case there is some problem in certain pockets of advances, I believe they will be the first to provide for that. The provision can increase, and that's a question of quarter or two, and post that we may again see a revival in earning for private banking sector. So I think banking sector, we continue to remain bullish, especially on private banks. So few banks which are doing well are Federal Bank, Karur Vysya Bank. I believe ICICI Bank will also report a decent set of number. Axis Bank, despite of disappointment, I think it's a good opportunity to add in the long-term portfolio. HDFC Bank, again, going through a rough patch. I think a quarter or two down the line, we may see an improvement in performance as far as HDFC Bank is concerned. IndusInd Bank, again, that continue to remain one of our top pick. Can we have this webinar video available later to refer from the beginning? Yes, Prashantji, this webinar will be available on YouTube channel of SBI Securities within the live section. So you can anytime access this webinar at your convenience later on. The next question is from Mr. Ganesh Pai. Do you have any opinion on Adani Group stocks? Which stock do you like? So yes, within Adani Group stock, Adani Ports, Ambuja and ACC, these three companies are very profitable company, cash flow generating companies. I think all these companies, three companies can be looked upon from a medium to long term perspective. In addition to that, Adani Enterprise, which is a kind of conglomerate holding company for many unlisted businesses for Adani Group. So airport business, infra business, and all these companies are housed under Adani Enterprises. So definitely one can look at Adani Enterprises, but again, I would recommend not to take a leverage position and buy Adani stock, because of late we have seen a lot of increase in volatility in the entire Adani Group pack based on the various news flow. So if you are a long-term cash investor, yes, you can look at all these companies from a medium to long-term perspective. Adani Green, again, this company I believe has got a huge growth potential because of the focus on renewable energy, and that can also be kept on radar. But one has to keep in mind that historically and at current juncture, the valuations of all these Adani Enterprise, Adani Green are on a higher side. So proper allocation need to be done. In case you want to buy an Adani Group share, kindly restrict them to 3 to 4% of your entire equity cash portfolio. Mr. M.N. Sheshadri is asking, how is ITC benefited? So every year during the budget, there is an expectation that cigarette or tobacco product will be taxed at a higher rate for mobilizing more revenue for government of India. And this year during the budget, there was no tinkering on that front. And that has led to a rally in the ITC. And ITC, in terms of valuation, is one of the cheapest stock on FMCG front, trading at close to 26, 27 time price to earning multiple, as compared to companies like HUL or for that matter Nestle. They are all trading north of 50 time price to earning multiple. In addition to that, the value unlocking in the form of demerger of hotel business, that is coming very close. So people are excited to get hold on to the shares of hotel company also. So that has led to the rally in ITC post the union budget. And again, the prospect continue to remain healthy as far as ITC is concerned from a medium to long term perspective. The next question is from Mr. Murthy, sir, which will be the good company to invest in agriculture sector? So again, agriculture as a sector is a vast sector, and this sector can be ride through multiple subsector. So one of the key sector which caters to agriculture is seeds and agrochemical. So within agrochemical, we continue to remain bullish on Dhanuka Agri, Coromandel International. Seeds, Kaveri Seed is one of the leader as far as seed sector is concerned. Export focus agri companies like PI Industry, all these companies can be on radar as far as agriculture sector is concerned. In addition to that, agrochemical companies like Deepak Fertilizer, where we have seen a booster from government of India during the current budget. So I think Deepak Fertilizer can also be looked upon. Dharmaj Crop Care, we believe this company will do well over the period of next 2 to 3 years. So these are the few companies from agrochemical and fertilizer side. On tractor side, one can definitely look at market leader like Mahindra and Mahindra. So their SUV portfolio is also doing well. So yes, Mahindra and Mahindra can be looked upon from an tractor side. One more company, VST Tiller, which is a combination of tractor as well as agri equipment. this company can also be looked upon from a medium to long term perspective if one want to ride agri sector. How about Eicher Motor in auto sector and also HDFC Bank and Kotak Mahindra Bank? So yes, we continue to remain bullish on auto sector and Eicher Motor as a company. But compared to Eicher Motor, what we feel is that we have already seen a big run up in Eicher Motor of late. And at a current juncture, we feel Hero MotoCorp and Bajaj Auto are better placed within the two-wheeler segment as compared to Eicher Motor. So one can look at both these companies. And as discussed earlier, HDFC Bank again, that company is work in progress. So we are seeing an improvement in performance. So maybe a quarter or two down the line, we may see a good set of earning growth as far as HDFC Bank is concerned. Kotak Mahindra Bank, yes, again the results were not up to the mark in this quarter. But at the same time, the stock has underperformed since last 2 to 3 years. So it's a rock solid bank with a very strong corporate governance practice. But if you are looking for a capital appreciation story, I would recommend you to look at other banks which are growing at a faster rate. Banks like Federal Bank, Karur Vysya, Karnataka Bank, or for that matter, IndusInd. All these banks can be looked upon from a medium to long term perspective. Mr. Ramrao Jagtap is asking, sir, एक solar stock बताइए. So yes, we continue to remain bullish on a solar as a sector, and KPI Green is the one company where we have got an active coverage on, and that company continue to see a strong order inflow. So KPI Green is the one stock which you can add in your portfolio if you want to ride on the solar EPC sector. I think now we will take a last question for the day from Mr. Ganesh. EMS Limited is a company in water management too. How does it compare with the Vatek, Wabag and Ion Exchange? So yes, EMS Limited is again a very good player, reporting a very solid set of numbers. Compared to Vatek, Wabag and Ion Exchange, EMS is trading at a relatively cheaper valuation. So EMS can also be looked upon from a medium to long term perspective. So I think that's all from our side. I think we have almost completed 2 hours, and I hope we were able to answer all your queries and clear your doubt on your understanding on union budget and our top 10 pick. As my ending message, I would once again advise you all to kindly stay safe as far as your trading and investment journey is concerned. Kindly don't take very large outside leverage bet in the current market, as we have seen volatility have increased significantly in the market, and stick to quality companies. Talk to your advisor, talk to us. You can get in touch with us through your relationship manager and advisor, and we are always available to guide you on trading as well as long-term investment journey. So stay safe and have a happy wealth creation journey. So we will come back to you with our next topic very soon. And I can see there was one suggestion from a request from somebody to take a webinar on how to do a fundamental analysis and result analysis. So next time we will definitely consider that topic. Your feedback has been noted. Thank you, and a good day ahead. Thank you.